Dead Sea by Brian Keane. The city streets are no longer safe. They are filled instead with the living dead, rotting predators driven only by a need to kill and eat. Some of the living still struggle to survive, but with each passing day, their odds grow worse. Some survivors have fled, frantically searching for a place to escape. For Lamar Reed and a handful of others, that safe haven is an old Coast Guard ship at sea, with plenty of water between them and the zombies. These desperate survivors are completely isolated from the dangers of the mainland, but their haven will soon become a death trap, and they'll learn the isolation can also mean no escape. Dead Sea by Brian Keane, and welcome to A Book at Deb Time. Dead Time, Deb Time. You see what we've done there? As you can see, this is still a work in progress. Some books have been read. I've managed to get rid of an entire bookshelf. They've been filled up with my DMs. Don't forget to lace and subscribe. Now, my relationship with Brian Keane books is I read The Rising about 15 years ago, back when Waterstones would hire me. They were entertaining books, pretty much following one man trying to find his son, but a real epic sense. The zombies themselves were effectively demons. There was a mythos behind it. Demons were able to inhabit the dead. Some would gain more skills, and there was mimetic memory. There was a much more meta narrative inside it. They were quite gripping, and I would heartily recommend the Rising series. This is not part of that series, though. That's what surprised me. This is trying to make a much more novella sense out of a very simple scenario. You're following one man's view, that's Lamar. Firstly, trying to escape the city and survive in it. The two young kids that he meets along the way, the new bestie who dies. Spoiler alert. At some point, everyone dies. This goes on for about 100 pages, though. It's a 200-page book, and it takes about 100 pages before they get on the boat, which, given it's called Dead Sea, it's kind of depressing. The style of the book, I think, has a lot of questions for me. On the one hand, Lamar is a gay African American raised in the ghetto, but, and I did actually, one of the rare times I looked this up just to fact check my own prejudices, that's not Brian's background as such. He's a Navy man. He's from more rural areas. Now, he has come up with a much more blue collar sensibility, but there was something about it that seemed to parody almost sweet back sort of level. Not a deliberate parody, but if your information about urban life is really going to come from the films and not from living that urban life, I think there has to be questions. He does sort of catch himself with that because Lamar is gay. He has the children sort of act in a way that they need to be discussed about these things. However, um, it just leaves a bit of a foible there to me. Also, once they're on the boat isn't a cruise ship of the gods. It was a tourist ship, almost like the Cutty Sark, essentially. Everyone seems to get on board too easily about this is the system, it's not a democracy. Can we have our guns? Can we not have our guns? There's not enough time for them to build tension. There's one rogue pop, but the fact is, it's all blown out of the water because once you have animals being able to be zombified, it's just a matter of time. Uh, there's great scenes, but there's a lot of dead zombies that need to be shot. And there seems to be like, there's a certain element in this where there's only so many times the zombie happens to be a woman before you go, did you lose the house? Did you lose the house? Do you need a safe space male retreat? Because for such a slim volume, it's kind of repetitive on that sense. It was a decent commuter book level, but and it has some novel twists. But again, it's really a rush at the end for vignettes of zombie dolphins and sharks. How the virus gets on board, and an absolute denouement that means that this is really the end of everything. It's quite well paced, but even for a slender volume, I would say it read very skippable. I'd say it's one for the Brian Keane completists. It has a nice idea. It has some nice characters that you could follow, but there's just not enough meat on this skeletal bones. I definitely recommend getting The Rising and Dead City, though, having said that. So if there's anything from this, take that from it. But Dead Sea, now, I would say throw it back in. The demographic, the narrative pace. Maybe I'm reading in a 2024 style and I would have loved it more in 2014 when this edition was published. It was initially read in 2007. But um, some things are best left in the sea. So with that, Tatu Varada Niktu, and we'll see you soon for the next book at Dead Time. There and there, you know the bits. That. Banned from the comments.